Greetings, boys and ghouls. I'm Sean with the Goosebumps Crew Podcast. You've asked for it, and now the Goosebumps Crew Podcast wants to deliver.
And you're in for a scare, because the Goosebumps Crew is proud to announce one weekend at Horrorland.
So get ready, my friends, for an event that celebrates the magic of horror literature like never before.
It's where you'll find like-minded fans of some of your favorite horror shows and movies, including some of the guests who've appeared on the Goosebumps Crew Podcast.
Our special guests, panels, and activities for fans of all ages will immerse you in an exciting and spooky atmosphere, sure to get you into the spirit of things.
But here's the thing, we can't do it alone. We need your support to bring this dream of ours to life.
By making a donation, you become an essential part of making this extraordinary event a reality.
And as a token of our appreciation, the Goosebumps Crew has prepared some extraordinary gifts and rewards exclusively for our backers.
So, my friends, join us on this magical journey where we will create a weekend filled with pure passion and shared love for the horror genre.
Please visit our Kickstarter donation page now. Let your passion ignite the flame that will make this event a reality.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Average Intelligence Podcast. What you just saw there is the sponsor of tonight's podcast. Our friends at the Goosebumps Crew Podcast are putting on a convention one weekend at Horrorland. You just saw the promo video there. You've probably seen it already. Why you haven't gone on and pre-ordered your tickets or bought your virtual access to the event is beyond me, but people make mistakes, just like Donald Trump. But before we get into that, how are we doing tonight, Toast?
I am most excelente. I'm ready to talk Trump.
I am. How would an American that doesn't know how to speak Spanish pronounce muy? I mean, like I read it, and that's the only way I. How would Donald Trump pronounce? It's my perfecto. It's a great night.
It's a great night. Muy perfecto. Love all you average intelligence podcasters. Very nice. My Trump absolutely is.
You know what?
Shit.
Actually, you know what? You have the inflection. It's just the secret. The secret I had to learn was from Shane Gillis, and I can't do normal Trump. I can't do normal Trump. I'm like Shane. I can do rally Trump. And actually,
Rally Trump, right?
And somebody said, they said, your Trump is not perfect, but your impression of that guy, he's referring to Gillis, doing Trump is spot on. I'm just like, I'll take it. You're gay.
You're gay. I love it. I love that Shane Gillis bit where he's like, they should still, even if they won't let him run, they should still let him debate. So like you'll have, two
because it's true, man.
And it's so funny. Then the Stone Cold music comes and Trump comes out. You're gay.
You know what? That would be great if
that would be...
if Stone Cold ran for some political office, but just for fun. So he'd go out there and be like, "Oh, god damn, kid! I knew we were up here spouting bullshit. I'd have brought a beer."
Have you ever seen the video of Gavin McInnes did a piece on there's a video of I believe it was a G8 meeting, a summit meeting, and you see Trudeau trying to approach Trump like a scared little schoolboy or like a. Oh, it's so funny. It is classic.
I don't know if I saw the one you're talking about, like with commentary, but I did see that video, and it's
classic. He's there shuffling his papers, waiting for Trump to finish talking to someone, but pretending like he's doing something. And then Trump's walking away, and then he's like, "Oh, hey, wait a second." Trump barely notices him. It's real good stuff. Yeah. That's the leader of my country.
For a second, I walked by, I thought I saw the ghost of Fidel Castro. Looked just like Fidel, but he shaved and he was very pale.
Very pale, very weak.
Very pale, very short. Not a lot of people know this. Justin Trudeau, really short guy, only 6'1". Actually, I don't know how tall is Trudeau. I don't know how
I
tall he
think
is.
I actually do think
I think he's
he's a
pretty
little
tall.
taller. I think
Yeah.
he's tall, actually.
But I mean,
Yeah.
Trump would say that, be like, really short guy, only 6'1", I'm 6'1".
He's got he's got small hands. Yeah. Which I
As
do.
Trump uses it, he's got tiny hands.
Tiny hands.
Uh, I'll tell you what, man. After, which I'm kind of proud of myself because I'm a spouter of moderation,
Hmm.
particularly politically. And I'm gonna be honest. Um, after I heard the guilty verdict from Trump, my first instinct was to be like, "Oh, this is bullshit." I said, "But you know what? I'm gonna practice what I
Hmm.
preach. I'm
Hmm.
going to actually get information from both sides because I've gotten plenty of information from, like, the Ben Shapiro's, the not the Alex Joneses. I
Hmm.
don't. You know what's funny though is in just a one thing because I would be remiss if I didn't. Eric was telling me for years, bro, you got to listen to Alex Jones, and I'm like, dude,
Alex Jones.
here's the thing though, if he would tone it the fuck down just a smidge, his audience would be 10 times bigger. Because on the one hand,
100%.
you'll get a lot more people who are like, hey, turn the freaking flashlight.
Right, right,
You're
right,
gonna get
right,
an audience with that,
right.
but you'll get more being like, hey, remember 10 years ago when I told you there was an island?
Mhm. Well, you see, that's the thing. He has said some things over the years, not just the island stuff, but there's been some things he said over the years that actually ended up being true. Now, is his bombastic, aggressive style appropriate for serious journalism?
No, but it serves a
Debatable.
purpose. Yeah, yeah.
Right, exactly. And now you also gotta give the guy some credit too,
Oh,
because
I do.
he has essentially built a media empire, right? InfoWars is completely
Yeah.
self-sufficient. Yeah, he sells these shady supplements to fund the business, but at the end of the day, he did it himself.
Which
I
Yeah, what
from
fun fact about the supplements, not to cut you off, but I noticed this when I was watching Spider-Man No Way Home. I was like,
mm,
I feel like they're making Jonah Jameson in this universe like an Alex Jones stand-in. And then he pulled out the supplements and I'm like, "Oh my God, they are." Like
oh my God.
that's Alex Jones of the Spider-Man universe.
Certainly, but you know what, too? I think that, like, I would attribute that to globalist programming, because at the end of the day, for right or wrong, whoever the hidden people are, the people that you know
The
put out
lizards.
mass messaging, the lizards, whoever they are, right? At the end of the day, Alex Jones is somebody that they cannot control, especially because he has his own news outlet. There's not really much you can do to stop Alex Jones because he's platformed himself.
But
Also,
oh, go ahead, sorry. Sorry. Go
oh
ahead.
no, I was going to comment on Owen Schroyer, who's one of his correspondents, but you first.
Well, all I'm gonna say is I'm like I said, I'm in the middle when it comes to Alex Jones. I I'll admit he hit the nail on the head on some things. However, I don't know this. Somebody who has way more time than me and is actually on Reddit can do this if they feel so inclined. I bet if you go back over the span of his career, Alex Jones has been wrong about way more shit than
Yeah,
he's been
well, I
right.
mean, the Sandy Hook thing, like
Yeah,
he really fudged the bet on that one. And
yeah.
like to the
Which is
tune
the
of what however many million he had to pay. I don't
yeah,
know.
and I know people are Eric and I debate constantly about free speech. I'm like, but that's a civil suit. That's not the government's not
Right.
telling him he can't say it, but you can't say shit about other people that's blatantly untrue and
Yeah.
get away with
I
it.
mean, I think personally, okay, like hey, listen, I am A1 conspiracy guy. Aliens and the Illuminati and the shadow people, shadow government and the lizard people. I am all about that. Get me a colander so I can wear it on my head. That being said, I don't think it's a very good thing, both morally and for society, to be, what's the word I'm looking for? To, make the parents of deceased children suffer more than they have. I don't think there's any benefit in any way to that.
And that was
you know?
and that was my 2 cents on it, and I'm
Hmm.
sure we actually do want to do when Eric's back in good health and back on the show regularly. I said, dude, it's just going to be fun. Is like we just need to debate. But the thing is, we're both civilized debaters, so it'll be an actual
Mm.
debate. And like if we do insult each other, it'll just be for fun. Like,
Right, right.
but I just
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
it'll be fun.
honestly, I keep my views on here pretty moderate. I have some more controversial views that I don't really have a chance to have debate or discourse with anybody, because people, especially here in Canada, you really can't have a debate. Especially number one, just being a straight white male, you're not allowed to have an opinion in the first place, which is crazy. But then also too,
Unless
like,
unless you agree with them.
that's right,
Then
unless
you
you agree
can
with the
have
alphabet
an
gang.
opinion all day long. And
No, but
but
even then, there's steps to victimhood, right? You fall at the bottom of the victimhood
well, you
ladder, so
can't because
really
yeah,
your voice.
you can't be at the front line, but you can carry the
No,
bags.
I can carry the bags, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly,
You
exactly,
can you can be of service, but not you're not the
certainly.
poster. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
well, I mean, even just by dint of my existence and my what I am and who I am just innately evil. Is the argument from them?
would you and I know you're not going to be insulted by this question, so I'm going to
No,
ask you
no,
like
no. Please.
would you be considered brown?
Ah, great question. I have had this conversation with lots of people. So now in Canada, right? It's all relative, but the general consensus is that yes, Portuguese people are white, but it really depends on who you ask, right? There's some, like, very like Nordic type people who say that Portuguese people are not white, which I beg to differ. I mean, my on my mom's side of the family, so I'm fully Portuguese. My mom's side of the family has numerous individuals with either blue eyes or blonde hair or both, right? I suspect that maybe because I might have Flemish ancestry. So, in addition, at the time that the Azores were being populated, um, there were also German, French, and Flemish settlers to the islands. And I suspect that my family on my mom's side may have descended from one of those individuals.
Which makes
But that
sense.
was, yes, but that was only after, because at first the islands were used as a prison colony, much in the same way that Australia was. After that, after they realized, hey, these islands are really nice and the climate's really good for farming, that's when they started to populate the islands. But fun fact, if
Just
I
like
may take a
Australia.
quick second, just like Australia,
They're
precisely.
like,
Actually,
fuck. They're like,
it,
fuck, we should just stay here.
we should just fucking stay here, blimey. No, but you know what? The thing is, the Azores is much, much nicer than Australia in terms of the climate. It's much more temperate. You can think of the Azores as a warm Iceland. It's
And you don't
volcanic. It
have
has a subtropical.
and you don't have fucking crocodiles.
You don't have fucking crocodiles. You don't have mosquitoes either.
Well,
Actually, mosquitoes don't
stingrays.
exist.
You don't have
Oh,
stingrays, mate.
stingrays. Steve Irwin would find that a great place to live, I'm
Mhm.
sure.
He'd
But
find it a
okay,
fantastic place to live.
very quickly. So,
I can't.
they
I'm
recent.
sorry. I have to apologize to Steve Irwin. I fucking love Steve Irwin, and
Who doesn't
quick
love Steve Irwin?
quick shout out to his. I don't. I think both of his kids are pretty heavily involved, but Robert Irwin has definitely like taken up the torch and
Certainly, certainly.
fucking bravo because it
I,
is.
I understand. I understand that he's very much focused on conservation efforts, which I think is,
Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, like
beautiful.
it makes you. It's funny because on the one hand, it's way off topic, but I just had because I just watched a great video of him talking about like how much his dad's legacy means to him and how he watched his mom
Hmm.
from when he was 8 years old to now. He watched his mom just like single-handedly, like her goal, her only mission in life was to take care of her kids and to carry his father's mission until he came of
Hmm.
age. And I guess from what I understand, there was a conversation when Robert came of age, and it was like, you don't have to, but here's the torch if you want it. And I
Hmm.
we've all seen it. He took it and ran with it, but and fucking
Hmm.
kudos. But it's also
Agreed.
it's also sad when you think about it too, because you imagine what it would have been like if he could have been doing that next to his dad.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I'm sure he was for some time, right?
He
The
was when he,
accident.
but I mean, imagine like an adult Robert Irwin, because I mean, shit, he's
Right,
mid
right.
twenties
How old
now.
is he? Is he mid-20s? Okay.
Oh well, actually, you know what?
How
Let's find out. Let's find out because I'm not.
I was gonna ask, when did Steve Irwin die? I don't remember.
It was a while ago. Well,
Right.
because again, Robert was 8 when his father passed away, so
Oh, I didn't know
Oh
it
no,
was like
he's
that.
only
I thought.
20. Okay, so it wasn't that long ago.
Hmm.
Wow, Robert Irwin is only 20 years old. That's incredible.
Wow. So he's technically Generation Alpha, or is he Gen Z?
He would be Gen Z, I believe. Just
Mm,
barely.
just barely, like the very tail end of it. Hmm.
Which again, we
Interesting.
we all know those lines blur. Actually, my theory,
Sure.
because, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but you remember when you had Generation Y and then Millennials, and then they just kind of
Hmm.
blended them together. Well,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I stick to this. This is something I came up with, but it makes perfect sense. I still believe Gen Y is a thing. It shouldn't be blended because I don't claim my millennial status. It's too broad. Like the
Mm.
difference, the I hate to use the word spectrum, but like the spectrum of millennials is really different. And here's the
Well,
difference. Here's the difference though. And it's my ex-wife that identified this to me. So she and I were only 3 years apart. However, my parents were baby boomers. Her parents were
mhm.
Gen X, and it was a world of
Interesting.
fucking difference with how, from the music we listened to when we were younger to how we were raised. Like even what language was allowed. Like if I cursed in my house, I was in deep shit.
Hmm.
By the time she was 14, nobody gave a shit.
Right. That's really
So
interesting. My parents, see, my perspective on that is kind of skewed because, like, while obviously I did grow up in Canada, like most cakers here, right? Like real Canadians, their parents, they all listen to classic rock because their parents introduced them to it when they were kids. Jimi Hendrix, The Doors, Zeppelin, stuff like that, right? I did not grow up listening to any of that, and I absolutely despise classic rock. I can't stand it. I like the occasional song, like
yeah,
I
I
like
know.
what was that song? A Black Sheep, Black Dog by Zeppelin. Do you know what song I'm talking about? Anyways, or Purple Haze is a classic, or like
Yeah,
maybe
Purple
even
Haze is a classic.
I don't mind a couple Sabbath songs, but generally classic rock is not it for me. And my parents didn't never listen to that stuff. I grew up listening to like Brazilian music, which even then I don't like that stuff either. So, but in a roundabout
Yes.
way, to bring this back to my heritage. So the Azores, okay, they recently there's underground caves in the Azores, okay, that people used to store like grain and stuff like that, right? And these are basically carved into solid rock, and so archaeologists have started to suspect that there was pre-existing civilization before the Portuguese and the Azores. So what they did is they did DNA tests on the mice there, and it turns out that the mice have Scandinavian origins, meaning Vikings were on my islands before the Portuguese were. I thought
Yes.
that was
Well,
extremely
that
interesting.
that would make a lot of sense though if you think about it.
Sure,
Because
sure. Well, the
name
Vikings they went all the way down to Africa, so they must have
I was
stopped
gonna say
at some
who
point.
were the two largest seafaring cultures at that time?
Right.
This is the
The
Vikings and the
Phoenicians. Hmm.
not that late. I was gonna say the
Oh, I
Vikings and
don't.
the Muslims.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But the Vikings were like, I don't know where, because look, there's a lot of Islamic influence in Iberia,
This
right?
was the
Because
but this was before the big Muslim push. They would have been about, but
mhm,
not to the
that's
degree of the golden age of Islam. There was
it would have
yeah.
been, yeah, exactly, exactly. That would have been pre
Yeah, the
Islamic
Viking age.
Iberia.
Well, and that's another thing. We're gonna finish this and then get back to Trump because that's what the people are
Yeah,
here for. But
that's what the people are here for.
I ascribe to the belief, and I don't think you can argue it if you really think about it, that the Viking Age never really ended per se because they didn't get defeated or get wiped out. They just assimilated.
Sure, sure.
So
They
the
assimilated
Viking
into what though? Where did they assimilate into?
wherever they went, because like you've got the
Right.
Kievan Rus, which eventually led way to the to what would become Russia and even Ukraine, and parts of Romania, like all that Eastern European, Poland,
Hmm.
all that stuff. Like I
Hmm.
mean, they set up shop in Constantinople and said, "This is pretty fucking nice. We're just gonna stay." You know,
That's true. They
that
were,
that
the personal, I believe, like there was an emperor of the Byzantine Empire whose personal guard was comprised of a group called the Varangians, which was a group of Vikings.
was that
I don't
Justinian.
know.
I want to
Pardon?
say
Oh, that.
I want to say that's Justinian, but I could be wrong. I'm more of a although I'm getting more into the history of the Byzantine Empire. I'm more of a Western Roman Empire fanboy, which makes
Sure,
no sense
sure.
because the Byzantines lasted way fucking longer. But
They did. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm very much a student of classical Rome, like just like, the Roman Empire before it became the Catholic Church, which is
before the
really interesting
schism.
to think of before the schism, right? But yeah, essentially the Catholic Church is the Roman Empire. I mean, all of the treasures of Rome,
Oh
all of
yeah.
the artifacts is
Well,
the
not only
Vatican,
that,
right?
the hierarchy. You know, what's funny because I was
Right.
talking to somebody. Hang on one second. Hey, get out of there, my fucking dog. Get the fuck out of there.
Dog troubles. So I guess it's up to your host, Mr. Toast, to entertain the people. I can't see access to the comments, but please like, comment, subscribe if you like this content. I'm just co-hosting for now.
Oh, but yeah. So, somebody asked me. They were like, "Well, how did Christianity take over?" I said, "Well, this isn't the sole reason, but the reason it really succeeded, once it was adopted into the Roman Empire, is because they gave it the hierarchy of the Roman Empire, and it became a very efficient, well-oiled machine. Because
Hmm.
as much as people hate the word hierarchy, it's efficient. Because if you know
Hmm.
where the orders are coming from and you know a chain of command, you're way more
Certainly.
effective at doing whatever it is you want to do. It's where we get the phrase, what
Humans.
is, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Where
no,
do you
you're
get the
fine, you're fine.
phrase?
There's a few
You,
phrases. The less offensive one is there's too many cooks in the kitchen.
right, right. Well, there's
The
nothing wrong with hierarchy. Humans are hierarchical animals, right? Hierarchy is just simply organization. There's nothing wrong with hierarchy. I mean, really, when you leave people to their own devices without a structure, people tend more often than not to shit the bed. It's very rare that people engage in altruistic actions without a direct benefit to themselves.
and what's funny though, and again, now we're getting into Peterson territory, which I promise we'll go to Trump. But it's funny because hierarchies, like obviously a corrupt hierarchy is bad, but they often self-destruct, i.e., the Western Roman Empire. But
Right.
hierarchies can be extremely beneficial to society in more ways than one. Not only does it give a clear plan of what to do, who to answer to, where you're at in there, your status, something to shoot for, but also, when you do get a good leader who is altruistic, he or she has the mechanisms in place to do great things. So,
Hmm.
again, they're
Agreed.
not inherently evil. But speaking of inherently evil, Donald Trump. I'm kidding. But so anyway, I was gonna live my credo and I was gonna get information. And once again, this is just like a trend for me, and I question myself a lot. I'm like, am I actually a moderator, or am I just like lazy and don't want to get into it with people? And here, when it comes to Trump, it's very frustrating for me because I want to like the guy, but he just, and I do, but like he gives me so much ammunition to be like, now again, he's standing next to Joe Biden, so obviously he looks very good next to
Right.
Joe Biden. But if he were
Right.
if he were running against virtually anyone else with a pulse, I mean,
Mm,
I'd probably lean more. Like if RFK was like on equal footing, there'd be no question for me.
mm,
And don't get me wrong, I
mm,
have I have issues with RFK as well, but I mean,
mhm.
just out of the three, and I still don't know who I'm voting for yet, but we'll see. But after objectively looking at all the information, I can say two things. One, Trump is guilty of this particular crime. However, at the same time, this particular crime should not have been a felony. And if Trump's guilty of this, you should arrest everyone else that does business in New York because I'm
Well,
I'm
so
sure.
what exactly, please explain to a
Okay,
clueless
so
Canadian, what exactly was Trump convicted with? Because from what I understand, he was this crime was based on a predicate which has never been prosecuted against anybody in the state of New York ever. Okay.
not
I also
not
understand.
in not in the way that it was, but
Right. So please explain that to me. And also, I understand that he is a Class E felon, meaning he will
correct.
most likely not serve any kind of jail time or any kind of sentence.
Well, here's the thing though. So the statute in question is New York Penal Law 175.10, also known as the falsifying business records in the first degree. It's a Class C felony that applies to actions committed on or after November 1st, according to the prosecution.
Oh, right. This was him. Sorry, if I may. I think I do know what this is. This is him falsifying the records surrounding the situation with Stormy Daniels, which would like he believed would be damaging to his presidential campaign.
That is the and I'm
Correct?
going and that's the allegation. I'm going to choose my words very carefully here because while he
Right,
was proven guilty, there have been
right,
there have been people that are proven guilty of murder and then exonerated years
right.
later. So
Now, what's interesting is that that incident took place before the 2016 presidential election. I mean, wait, sorry. Was it
hey,
before or after?
Justin has a comment. Justin, I think one of your comments didn't come through because I only got or am I totally off? So, I mean, yes, you are, but I don't know. Just kidding.
Is that my Vancouver friend?
Yes,
Greetings,
you,
Justin.
your
Hope you're
VC
well, brother.
compadre.
That's right. Yeah.
Um,
Vancouver, Canada.
so it states that a person is guilty of this crime if they, one, commit the crime of falsifying business records in the second degree, which that doesn't fucking explain what that is, or
Yeah.
and have the intent to defraud, which includes intending to commit another crime or aid or conceal the commission of another crime, or make or cause a false entry in the business records of an enterprise. And an enterprise is defined as an entity, public or private, that is involved in business, commercial, professional, or other activities. Business record is defined as any writing, article, computer data, or computer program that an enterprise keeps and reflects condition or activity.
Mhm.
A district attorney can elevate misdemeanor conduct to an arrest for allegation of first degree falsifying business records. If convicted, a judge can sentence the offender to multiple years in prison, even if they have no criminal history. Penalties include 1.3 to 4 years in New York State prison, up to 1 year in jail, and a combination of jail or probation. So here's the problem, though. As I'm sure everyone's aware, I'm not a lawyer. I just played one on TV that one time. And
Hey,
even
did you
then,
actually?
no,
Is that actually a thing? Oh,
no.
I would have
Oh,
loved to
wait,
see
did I?
you in.
Did I? No, no, I haven't played it. I played a doctor once
Wait, actually, like as an actor?
on the internet.
Oh wow, no way.
Yeah.
That's cool. I could totally see you being like a concerned doctor in an episode of Law and Order. Dun dun.
Anyway, just got some bad news. Anywho,
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is everything okay?
yeah, no, it's fine. Just got some bad advertising news. But anyway, I digress. So, I'm not a lawyer, but I do speak English. And I don't know what the fuck that means. Like that's
Uh-huh.
that's legalese in its finest. So it's my understanding, and this is why I say Trump is guilty. Guilty. So a
Hmm.
business record was falsified, but I can tell you how incredibly easy to do that on accident. Because I'll give you an example. Now, granted, this is we were correct, but just to show you how easy this could be, is we had a vendor with my business that we paid for. I can't remember the details, but basically we had to ask our accountant, how do we enter this? And if our accountant had been wrong,
Right.
we technically would have been guilty of falsifying business records. But these are hardly ever prosecuted. They're hardly ever, because most of the time they're benign. They don't really, because let's look at this
Right.
objectively. Who was hurt by the Trump organization entering in reimbursements to um God damn it, I just spaced his name. I know who he is too. That's sad. Cohen.
Stormy
Michael
Daniels.
Cohen. Well, Michael Cohen
Right.
made the payments to Stormy Daniels and then submitted for reimbursement. Now, I guess the smoking gun and testimony,
Ah.
which again, this is because nobody on the right mentioned this part, is they had notes written on Trump organization stationery talking about how basically they came out and said this is to hide the payment to Stormy Daniels. Now, that in and of itself is not necessarily a crime, but they're using like the whole thing's real loosey goosey, and I'll get to the point I'm making here. So Trump is guilty, yes. However, the point I'm making is that what is Trump guilty of? Is he guilty of a misdemeanor crime that was past the statute of limitations? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Right.
Is he guilty of
Right.
election interference? Well, if he's guilty, then Bill Clinton's guilty because he paid some lady, I forget her name, but he paid some lady way more than Trump ended up paying Stormy Daniels indirectly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be I'm going to be really precise here. Bill Clinton paid a woman way more money. I think 20 million or 200,000, something, two zeros in my mind, but I know it was more. He paid some woman way more money than Stormy Daniels was paid by Michael Cohen to cover up sexual abuse allegations. And it's very important here, not because I'm not going to pick on Bill Clinton here. Sexual abuse allegations get
Right.
settled out of court all the fucking time, whether they're true or not, because
Mm-hmm.
even the allegation is enough to ruin a political campaign. It
Mm-hmm.
happens all the
Well,
time,
so
and we never hear about it.
I was actually watching a commentary video about this exact situation. So the argument in the video was that this payment and this whole cover up happened at least 2 years before the campaign was even announced. From what I understand, either from when it was announced or from when it began. So it's not possible to be election interference if it took place before the election even was a conversation.
But that's the thing, though. It was already in the conversation. However, and I could be totally wrong here. I still maintain, because Joe Biden, I believe, has actually paid off, or at least done. People have alleged sexual abuse by Joe Biden, so I would imagine there were payments
But
made.
yeah,
Yeah. But
right.
here's the thing, and these payments are made whether the allegations are true or not. Like, athletes and celebrities deal with this shit all the time, and it is usually cheaper and easier to
Hmm.
just have them sign a non-disclosure agreement or kill the story, catch and kill, which again, catch and kill is not, it's dubious, but it's not illegal, technically speaking. And like,
Right.
here's the thing. Do,
Right.
do I think Trump fucked Stormy Daniels in 2006? Absolutely.
Obviously.
I mean,
Obviously.
him
Right.
denying it is just kind of like, it's like, dude, nobody even your base doesn't believe that you did. Like, come on. I
Sure.
just invited her up to my
Sure.
hotel room for sushi. Why? Why are you lying?
Right. Right. It's yeah, spirit cooking. Yeah, sure.
Well, and
Right.
here's
I mean,
I'm
if we're gonna get down if we're gonna go down that road about, who did what, there's quite a few uh pieces of evidence suggesting that, Biden has been engaged with the quote unquote pedophile sex cult. If we really wanted to go down that dubious road, right?
let's
But
not.
of course,
But there is a diary
certainly,
that's out there, so
certainly, yeah.
and I mean that's, and again, I wasn't there. I'm really glad I wasn't there.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't know any of these people, and
Sure.
like, I don't know if it's true or not, but the fact remains that it's in a diary that was, at least according to her, never supposed to see the light of day. So I don't know why you would lie in a diary that was supposed to never ever
Hmm.
see the light of day. That's all I'm saying.
Precisely.
But
Precisely.
the point being, and this is the big, and this was the thing, like, my point with all this Trump stuff is, did he do things wrong and in some cases illegal? I believe he did. But he's not the only one to do it, and none of it seems to have been an issue until he did it. So, what's that, Justin? Got to play to the evangelical base, and they don't love a cheater and a temptress. I mean, true, but they're
Certainly.
buying. I mean, but so
Justin's
many
right.
but here's the irony of that. So many evangelical figures get caught cheating. Like, it's ridiculous.
Mm. I've heard stuff about what's that guy? Peter
Sometimes with
Popoff.
men. Yeah.
Oh, whoa. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I've heard stuff about that Peter Popoff guy, Popoff. I don't know anything, to be honest. I was raised Catholic, but I know nothing about evangelicalism or anything about it. I'm so
Here's
clueless.
the
That's
thing.
not a thing here. That's not a thing here.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about it. They love Jesus and they want to tell you all about it. That's
Oh,
basically the,
I see. Right.
unless you're one of them queers or Jews, then you can fuck right off.
Right, right. Funny story, okay, about evangelicals. So
By the way,
growing up,
YouTube, that was not hate speech. That was just
please don't clip
characterizing.
that. Please don't clip that. Um, so
It's
growing up,
fucking true though. Like,
it is true. It is true. Um, growing up, I've been involved in the black metal scene here in Toronto for a long time. And when I was younger, I was in a black metal band, and there was a uh, at the time, because of silly high school drama, they were our rivals. But there's a black metal band called Panzerfaust, and they're actually, quite doing quite well for themselves now. It's a good job to Panzerfaust. They're killing it right now. Anyways, so they did a tour and they visited the Westboro Baptist Church,
oh,
and they went there and they pissed on the building, and yeah, they were
nice.
confronted by some guys, and I think that's pretty fucking hilarious. So good job, Banderpost.
Sorry, just had to kill a mosquito. Anyway,
No problem.
um, I do respect pretty much all nature, but mosquitoes can fuck off. Like,
There's been a lot of debate about whether humanity could sustain, like whether the world could sustain life, the biosphere could sustain life without mosquitoes. What they've done in like heavily mosquito infested areas they've basically bioengineered sterile mosquitoes that go out and breed with the mosquitoes and create no offspring. So
hmm.
mass numbers of mosquitoes are dying. I think that's a very good thing. I don't think anybody, I
See,
think
the
we can
thing,
all,
mosquitoes are good for one thing, and they are a food
it's the
source
food
for
chain.
a great number of animals that I love. So I guess they can
Precisely.
stick around, but in my house, they're fucking dead.
That's my opinion as well. Any bugs in the domain of my house will die, and anything else outside can live. In Canada, we have a big problem with house centipedes. I don't know if you guys have those there.
I don't know if they're the same, but yeah, similar, I assume.
Big with leopard spots, lots of legs.
I think
They
ours are
look.
smaller, but yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
Ours are
they're not
disgusting. Ew.
they're not super pesky. Like, it depends on where you are, because there's things called mayflies that in the summer in like certain areas of northern Indiana, especially if you're near water, there are some
Oh
nights
God.
where it looks like it's snowing outside. I'm not even joking.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew. What
But
is it?
here's
God.
it,
Oh,
it
sorry.
it the best way I can describe it is it kind of looks like a really small praying mantis, but it doesn't have the pincers.
Ew.
Well, but here's the thing.
Ew.
Here's the thing though, dude. Like, so many species gorge themselves during those.
Right.
They're kind of like cicadas, where like cicadas' only role in the ecosystem is to be food.
Right.
Like,
Right.
they
Right.
serve
Right.
no other purpose. And that's
Right.
basically what mayflies are. Like, they so many
Right.
fish, and they just die. Like, they die by the thousands to just lay on the water surface, and fish and other animals just gorge themselves on them. So it's,
Mm,
and they don't really, like, they don't bite you or anything. They can really freak you out when you're driving though, because again,
sure.
it looks like a really bad snowstorm when it's super bad. But Justin's got
Right.
my question about Trump is, why is he a hill so many people are willing to die on, especially internationally? People will just see Trump convict, and his soft power has to be weaker. So the reason I can answer that. The reason Trump is a hill that some, particularly Americans, are going to die on is because Trump was a legitimate threat to the status quo, and he proved it.
Mm-hmm.
And
100%.
the man is as flawed as they come. But here's the other thing: is you kind of, a lot of people, because some people do hate him, but
You have to kind of
you
respect that.
can't help but kind of like the guy.
He's a career politician. And to be honest, too, so for example, while he was in office, from my understanding, he did not like accept the presidential salary.
Well,
That's
I think he's required by law to take it, but I believe he donated it.
right, which
That's
is
my understanding.
I think he's excellent. To be honest, my opinion of Trump as a Canadian is that he's a guy who's speaking up for the voices that are no longer heard in American
Well,
discourse.
which is kind
That's
of
what I
ironic,
truly think.
because at the very beginning of this, I saw a lot of like rural poor people getting behind Trump, and I'm like, Trump? But I
Right.
mean, honestly, compared to the political status quo, it makes a lot of sense. And then there's a lot of just
Sure.
blatant lies told about Trump, like they're talking about how his tax cuts only help the rich. That's bullshit. Like, I know so many people that benefited
Mhm.
immensely
Well,
from his tax cuts.
also, here's the thing. The thing that people forget about rich people, okay, there's two things. Number one, okay, given the opportunity, we would all be rich, okay? The whole point of the American dream is that there needs to be some kind of incentive to do all that hard work, to go start a business. You know what I mean? The potential of getting rich is what motivates people to do stuff in the first place, right?
Hmm.
And I think that that's the basis of true capitalism, which, in its, truest form, happens in the United States. The United States, I think, has the freest economy of all economies, right? And that's both in terms of choice and opportunity. In fact, the hidden hand of the market is what regulates all prices in the United States, including healthcare. Right, the fact that you can go to a different doctor to get better healthcare, maybe for cheaper, is what is going to ultimately bring health costs down in your country. But I think the other point that I wanted to make is that um, shit, to be honest, I completely just spaced on my thought. I'm so
It's
sorry. Can
all
you
it's
please
all
remind
good.
me? Yeah, never mind. It's
I don't know. We were kind of
okay.
talking about why Trump is a hill that so many people are dying on,
Right.
and
Oh,
some people, some it is a desperation play for some people because while Trump is not perfect, he was very much a giant middle finger to the
mm-hmm,
DC swamp. I mean, he
mm-hmm.
told, and this is why I like the guy, even though he's not perfect, and here's why.
I
And
like the guy. He's
I
not
know I kind
perfect.
of laughed. I like him. He's not perfect.
But
He's got really tiny hands. No, but here's the thing. Trump basically can, and see this is my inner American coming out, but just humor me. This is why I love Trump because he made international headlines about because he walked in front of the Queen of England or something stupid. And I'm just
mm,
like, and my reaction was like, well, if anybody's gonna do it, it's the president of the
sure.
United States, right? I mean,
Well, see, Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, one of the things that made him famous here in Canada is that he did pirouettes behind the Queen. I guess in a way to kind of
nice.
not to I guess it's not to mock the Queen, but sort of to mock, I guess, the institution of the monarchy. That being said,
That's big
Trudeau's
talk.
father,
That's really big talk from a guy who has the Queen on his money, though. Just saying.
precisely. Oh no, hey, no. I'm not. I don't know how I feel about the monarchy. They don't. There's no effect on it in Canada. Literally, there's nothing
Yeah,
like the only
yeah.
thing is we get an extra holiday. That's the only thing. Nobody like when the Queen died, nobody gave a fuck here. Nobody really literally
I
gave a
I
fuck.
I think one of my favorite stories to tell many years ago, my ex-wife worked uh at a place and one of her coworkers was from Ireland who was here because her fiance is from here and she was here on a fiance visa and she didn't understand. So our we have a very patriotic song. Um, God damn it, what's the name of the song? Shit.
It's an American song?
Yeah. Well, it's to the tune of God Save the Queen. That's all you
Okay,
need to
right.
know. That's all you need to
Right.
know. So she comes back from a bathroom break and she goes, fuck are they playing God Save the Queen?
But it
And then
wasn't God Save the Queen, it was the
no, it's
American
we
version.
changed the words.
Right.
I think America the Beautiful? Yeah, I think that's what it's called. But it's
Okay,
it's
right,
it's the
right.
same song, just different words. And because that's
Sure.
that's that's what we did. We took a song that the British troops made to make fun of us and turned it into our battle cry. So yeah, Yankee
That's
Doodle.
funny.
Yeah,
That's
so I
funny.
mean, we were like, fuck yeah, this slaps. Let's do this shit. They're like, you do, and they're
Right?
like, you realize that was an insult? And it's like,
Right.
yeah, but it kind of fucking rocks.
Kind of works, kind of
It kind of
slaps.
works.
What's interesting, see, I think the other thing I remember what I was going to say about Trump. I think the other thing is that he's a real guy. Okay, like in the fact that like he's not a career politician, and the example that's coming to mind right now. Look at Biden, right? Right now, Biden is basically spouting the propaganda of the alphabet gang, inclusion and we need to get rid of the police and this and that. Like, in fact, during, like, for example, when they defunded the police in Portland and the whole area fell to shit. The Chaz, are you familiar with that? The
Oh, I'm
Capitol
very
Hill.
familiar.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
And so I believe if I could be wrong, but I believe that Biden voiced support for that whole Chaz initiative, that whole fucking
See,
debacle.
and it's
Now,
it's really
what's
funny. I wouldn't say he voiced
oops.
support, but he didn't condemn. Like
He didn't
Biden,
condemn it, sure.
yeah. Well, and
But see,
there was soft support, I
look at
guess.
Biden, brother. Look at early 2000s Biden. Not even that long ago, he was tough on crime. A bit harsher prison sentences, send drug dealers to jail, this, that, and the other. And now he's completely flipped.
Yeah.
And that's basically every other politician. A politician who's, a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything, right? And ultimately, politicians who change with the winds in order to curry favor with whoever is the popular voting base, I think, is
But
quite despicable.
that's why it doesn't make any sense because they're a fringe voting base. See, okay, Biden ran in the primary leading in
Mm.
2016, not 2016, I'm sorry, 2020. Um, Biden ran on a platform of being a moderate. He was the guy who was going to bring Democrats together right in the middle and beat Donald Trump. And immediately after being sworn in,
Uh,
he started
he went
catering more and
radical.
more to well, he didn't jump. Like it was very gradual. But
Right.
I said at the time, this is what the Biden presidency is going to be. It's
But
right here.
also, and well, see, also too, that I was just gonna say that was not of his own
No,
volition. You know what I mean? That
Biden
slide.
does what he's told. That's why
I
he's
mean,
the perfect candidate because he just does
brother,
what people tell him to do.
he gets his directions for every appearance. Walk left, acknowledge so and so person, sit down in the first chair. The fact that you guys have I mean, okay, I hate our prime minister, but like you guys have
He
a
can walk.
resident in chief.
Like
He can barely walk.
no,
He
Trudeau
can
can
barely.
walk.
Oh, Trudeau, yeah, sure. He walks over to China to
Yeah.
borrow a cup of sugar.
Well,
Actually, speak.
you got to keep him away
Sorry.
from the brown face paint, but
Oh, certainly, right. Oh man.
like here's the thing
There's
about that, dude. Here's the thing about that, dude.
Mark Norman.
If it happened once, I would have been like, he was a kid, whatever. But like
Oh, bro, it
it
happened more
happened
than once.
so many times.
And that Trudeau, he basically got fired from his job as a drama teacher because of a sex scandal involving a 14-year-old girl who later the media tried to say was 17. It was a girl. It was the daughter of a girl named Gloria who he was having some kind of affair with, and then he started
Allegedly.
canoodling. Allegedly, yeah, exactly. No,
Although I will say, because
but
I wasn't aware of that until like within the last year and a half, and I kind
mm,
of read up on it, and I was like, that seems legit.
bro.
That seems legit.
It sounds about right. Well, I mean, he is essentially uh how do I explain this? He's like a pussy dictator. He's like a dictator who's passive aggressive, who'll never tell you he's a dictator, but he sends his troops to do the hard talking for him.
Yeah.
Literally, his approval rating right now, I believe, is 25%. Canadians want him out, and they want him out mass. Like he did an appearance in Hamilton, Ontario, which is about I don't know 40 minutes from where I am. He did a appearance in Hamilton, Ontario, where the crowd was literally throwing things at him and yelling, and he had to be shuttled out by the RCMP and the secret police because for his safety. I believe he was doing some kind of campaign rally. And
Yeah.
literally today a girl at work, like I have never heard somebody say support for Trump in the longest time until today when a girl at work said, "Oh, but he's hot." And that's literally how he got elected, was that he's good looking and charming. Right? Now,
And I
that
can
being
see
said,
that. I can see that.
the only thing, okay, and I will say this, he only did one thing and one thing only correct, which is that he legalized marijuana, and I'm so glad he did. I'm concerned that the new conservative government will try to roll back because certainly they're trying to fight back against the decriminalization of other drugs, right? My opinion is ultimately the criminalization of drugs is the criminalization of mental health. And when people are addicted to any kind of substance, they are trying to self-medicate an underlying psychological issue, and so the answer is not incarceration. Sorry to go on a tangent.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So I want to go ahead and shout out the sponsor real quick, and then I'll answer Justin's question, and then we'll just finish up on Trump because I know we're keeping it.
Perfect.
What is
Perfect.
it?
Yes.
Um, okay. So the sponsor, One Weekend at Horrorland, our friends at the Goosebumps Crew podcast. God damn it, I can't say that fast. The Goosebumps Crew podcast are throwing a convention, and you're invited, but they can't do it alone. They need your support. So visit the Kickstarter campaign. It is the first link in the description. However, if you donate to the cause, there are several reward tiers that not only get you into the event, There are different options for single day or all weekend passes, November 1st through the 3rd in Cincinnati, Ohio. They've already released, I think, 6 of their celebrity guests. If they're not released yet, they will be released, including Tim Jacobus, the original illustrator for the Goosebumps book covers. Hang on. I don't. They know everybody's name. I don't, because I stopped paying attention to Goosebumps in like 1997. So we've got
No
Avery.
way though. The guy who did the... Oh
Oh yeah,
wow. Sorry.
Tim Jacobus was their first announced guest. Um,
That's so amazing.
they got Avery Jones, who was the puppeteer for Slappy for the Goosebumps movies.
Oh,
He is signed. We've got Alan Doucette, who was the prop master for the 1990s Goosebumps series, and a little birdie told me that he's going to bring some special surprises for
that's
the
cool.
people that show up. We've got Craig White, who was the cover artist for the Give Yourself Goosebumps book series. And then also,
Oh,
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, were those the choose your own adventure Goosebumps books?
Yes, the
Give
black
yourself.
spines,
Oh,
yes.
oh, I loved the. I'm sorry. Please
And
continue.
the
Yes.
fun fact, this will be the first time, according to the Goosebumps crew, this will be the first time that Craig White and Tim Jacobus will be in the same convention space ever.
Wow.
It's never happened before. There will also be, and this is all confirmed, by the way, these are people that have signed letters of intent. They will be there if the event is happening. So do not worry. And then for those of you unfamiliar with Kickstarter, when you pledge your donation, if they don't meet their goal, your money doesn't go anywhere. They only take your money when they reach the goal, and then you get your reward. But there will also be live performances from Valena and Again and Forever. So live concerts, live podcasts, live panels, a vendor space with tons of vendors, and then also appearing is author Debbie Lynn, the author of the Unveiled book series. And from what I understand, she should have her new book out shortly before the event. Last time I spoke with her, I think she said her goal was October. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. Her second book will not be officially released yet, but maybe there will be some pre-sale copies. Because she told me her
Ooh.
goal is to have it released for New Year's. That's right, because their first one was released on Halloween. And there's more coming, guys. There's a ton more coming. So I highly advise you go ahead and get your tickets, because the premium tiers, there's a limited number, and the premium tiers include things like you get a 3-day pass for the entire event. You get VIP first, like priority seating. You get a voucher for early access to a meet and greet of your choosing. Like, you get a bunch of really, really cool stuff, not to mention the special commemorative One Weekend at Horrorland t-shirt that will only be available to the top donating tiers. They will not be sold at the event. They will not be reproduced. Limited edition. You only get them by donating to the Kickstarter campaign. So
Oh man.
you'll want to check that out. But like I said,
Where is
if
this
the
beautiful event taking place?
Cincinnati, Ohio. Yes. So, but
Very
if
cool.
they don't get funded, nothing happens. So they need your support. And the lowest donating tier, $20, gets you virtual access to the entire event. So let's say you can't come to Cincinnati, but you still want to enjoy the convention. You get it all. We're gonna have, I should say, they're gonna have people walking around with iPads the whole event. They're gonna watch all the panels. They're gonna watch all the concerts. They're gonna go down vendor row. They're gonna talk to the celebrity guests. So in a way, you get access that even people at the convention won't get, because they're gonna be walking around. They're
Ooh.
gonna go in the green room, that kind of stuff. So you'll get
Ooh.
true behind the scenes access. So definitely, I'm telling you, and I'm telling you right now, for what you're paying, for what you're getting, what you're paying is pennies as
Oh
to
yeah.
what it's going to be at the door. Because there are going to be tickets sold at the door. They're going to be way more without the perks. So I
Hmm.
highly, highly encourage you to go ahead and pre-order your tickets. And when I tell you, those names that have been released are only the tip of the iceberg, guys. There's stuff that they cannot announce yet for legal reasons. So, but it's gonna be wild, and it's gonna be the first of its
That's
kind.
sick.
Yeah.
I know
So
where
there's
I'm
gonna
gonna be.
in Canada watching.
Virtually attending, yes, because I cannot make it to
I was gonna say
Cincinnati.
because I know you. Yeah, but like I said, $20, guys. It's $20. You know, that's the minimum donating tier, and every dollar counts. So help them do that. If you're
Help
gonna
some local
donate to
creators.
exactly, and well, not only that,
Yeah.
this is going to be the first of many, but the first one's got to get off the ground. So, um, if you're going to donate to Trump's, campaign, throw in some money for the Goosebumps crew.
That's right. Which they're actually working really hard to put
They're
together
working
a quality
so
event.
hard. They're working
I love
so
that.
hard, guys. Like when I tell you,
Mhm.
like I can't even fathom this event not getting off the ground because of how much work and passion they're putting into it. They are nonstop. I mean, every single day they're working hard on
Mhm.
this. So definitely.
Mhm.
Oh, and there's also whispers of a Scholastic told them to fuck off. So not
Oh
really. They
shit.
just said they weren't gonna. They said they weren't gonna sponsor anything, but they're going to be a spooktastic book fair.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. So there's
Spooktastic. Oh.
due to international copyright law, it's not.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But still, we're going to act like it is.
Excelente.
Yes, so definitely check them out. Like I said, first link in the description, or you can just type in weekend@horrorland.com and it'll take you to the Kickstarter campaign for now. And then when it gets funded, it'll become the official website where you can purchase tickets, get more information, all that good stuff. So anyway, so I want to answer Justin's question. Said the thing I don't fully understand is how for better or how for better or worse. Thanks for the hearts, guys. Definitely check out the Kickstarter campaign. Even if you can't attend, like I said, go get your virtual access. Because, like I said, and when they do the panel, I should mention this: when they do the panels, they are going to take some questions from the virtual crowd, so it's not like you're not going to be participating. For better or worse, presidential candidate and former president is now a criminal, and his campaign will now be about that. Um, so the narrative, and I'm kind of in this camp because my whole thing is like, even if Trump did things wrong, the only reason these were brought up were for political reasons, and that's a really gray area.
100%.
It's a really gray area though,
100%.
because like let's assume that Trump's guilty of everything they said, right? Well, the classified documents, Biden was found red-handed of essentially the same thing, except it was kind of worse because some of these documents were from when he was a senator, and he
Mhm.
didn't have the authority to have these in the first place, much less after
Mhm.
he left office, right? And the difference being his own Department of Justice came out and said, well, he's a senile old man, so we're not going to press charges. I mean,
Right.
that's not hyperbolic. That's exactly what happened. Like, I was watching all that and I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Hillary Clinton
Mhm.
was caught red-handed with a private email server that had a ton of classified top secret documents on it, and
Mhm.
she shredded it all digitally to not get, and then she was going to get prosecuted, but then James, not James Comey, yeah, it was James Comey,
James
I'm
Comey,
pretty sure,
that's right, yeah.
yeah, was like, nah, we're not going to bring charges after all.
Mhm.
And it's like, really? So if you're going to be selective, I guess the point that the Trump campaign, well, no, I'm sorry, they're maintaining innocence. The point that I would maintain is like, if you're going to prosecute Trump, prosecute all these other fuckers. And if not, let the American people vote and just get what they want. Because, and I will say this, Trump is not perfect. I didn't vote for Trump in the last election. I didn't vote for Trump in the election before that. I've never voted for Donald Trump as president. However, I had 4 really good years under Trump.
100%. And
I
that's
had
the thing that people
really good
forget.
years.
Trump, at the end of the day, Trump is a businessman. From what I understand, again, as a Canadian, jobs were up, unemployment was down, GDP was way up. And ultimately, he created a lot of jobs. Now, Biden, people are saying, oh, Biden created 500,000 new jobs in his first quarter as president. No, he didn't. He was just recovering lost jobs from the recession, is my understanding.
Yeah, well, and
Um,
this is where I get into it with data, especially numerical data, because that can be interpreted so many different ways. I've multiple times pointed out the issues with Biden's job numbers. For one, I remember they were saying that like the job numbers were so low, but something like, and this is from like I think it was from the New York Times. It was from a credible news source where they're saying there's 1.8 job vacancies for every
mhm.
worker in the United States. I'm like, how the fuck do you have record low unemployment and have that many job vacancies? That doesn't make any
Right.
sense.
Makes no sense.
That does
Absolutely.
that skews the numbers. That makes absolutely no sense.
One thing I wanted to say as well was that, okay, so people talk about Trump's tax breaks and, oh, they only benefit the rich. who do you think is starting companies and building, actually creating these jobs? It's rich people because they can afford to take on the risk of
Well, and not,
financial
but
ventures.
not just that. So this is where people get into, oh, well, that's just trickle down. I'm like, well, I mean, trickle down economics assumed that every rich person was altruistic, and that's not true. But in a vacuum, it makes sense because if businesses have more money to play with, what are they going to do? Yeah,
Hmm.
they're going to kick some
They're gonna,
bonuses because it's all about profit. But guess what?
sure,
If you got a guy that's making, $100 million a year, he doesn't want to fuck around with phone calls. He's going to hire an assistant.
right,
Like
exactly,
it's gonna and like
precisely.
we've got record profits and more people are wanting us to manufacture these goods or produce this content or whatever. And when you expand your business, you hire more people, and that's the thought process in
Certainly.
a nutshell
Well,
behind trickle down.
oftentimes oftentimes the expansion of a business is what's going to lead to more profits. Investing in, let's say, R&D, to make your product better, to release a different version of it, is ultimately what's going to bring your company more profit. It's
Yeah,
not just about paying shareholders, it's not just about paying yourself a salary.
yeah,
Okay, oftentimes too, when a CEO joins, let's say a startup, hits a point where it's no longer a startup, it's now a $10 million company. Let's just say somehow it gets to
yeah,
that point, just through sales, organic growth, right? When they hire a CEO, that CEO is going to have the experience to grow the company, and that CEO is also going to want to grow the company. Because think about it, if they have the experience of a CEO, they've already spent lots of years being a CEO. They already have enough money. Money isn't the
yeah.
motivator. You
Well,
can
and
only
that
make so much money before money stops being not worth. It's not that it's not worth anything, but it stops becoming the incentive,
well, and
right? Which
actually,
is
what's funny is science has determined, at least in the United States, that magic number as to when how did they word it, where money starts to matter dramatically less because everything is taken care of and you can live comfortably. And
that's
you know what?
right.
That
That's
number
right.
is oddly low. It's like $91,000, which I know
Sure.
that's a lot of money, but you would
Sure.
think it'd be higher than that. You think it would be like
It's got to be
400,000.
it's got to be a little bit more than 91,000, because
No,
91,000,
that's
yeah, you
that's
could
that's an
maintain.
average. That's well, because like I'll put
Oh,
it to
it's
you
an
this way.
average, right?
Yeah, I'll put it to you
Okay.
this way. I live in Indiana, and as a single person, I'm pretty comfortable. Like
Hmm.
I don't worry about paying my bills. I'm not rich,
Right.
but and that's what they're saying. Like you're not considered wealthy at 91,000, but that's the national average as to where people are like, yeah, the pressure's off. Like
Hmm.
I'm not worried about making rent or the mortgage or
To
um
be honest, I cannot say the same, and I make pretty
Well,
decent
right,
money here in
but you live
Canada.
in Canada. Like that
Right.
91,000 is probably more like 180 to be real.
Probably, yeah. See, if you make 180, if you make 140,000, you're living real nice. You're driving
Okay.
like a high-end Audi, or like I don't know. Not okay, you're not driving like a Jack. You'll probably have a Porsche, or like, a
Oh, okay. So yeah,
fancier.
you're
Yeah, like, you're making 140 a year. You're living in like the penthouse suite on the Marilyn Monroe buildings, which is
See,
close
if
to
I was making 140, I'd be obscenely comfortable.
sure,
that would be a type of number where I would actually be making more. Well, I'm already making more than I'm spending, but you know what I mean? Like it would be
sure,
exorbitantly more. That would be like
certainly.
wealth. That would be wealth building money. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
That's where
exactly.
the bulk
That's
of
when you
my
have
income would be going
that's when you have
towards
a
growth.
a portfolio.
Precisely.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
see, what's funny, and this is why somebody like me is dangerous, is because I don't want a fucking Porsche.
Very
I
good
don't want one.
point.
I don't want a giant fucking house. That's just more shit I need to
Hey,
clean because I'm sure as shit not
I
hiring somebody to clean it for me. I'm
let
too
me
cheap for
let,
that.
let me let me tell you something, okay? I have made $150,000 in a year, and I have also been homeless numerous times for both. And I can tell you, it's a lot nicer to cry behind the wheel of a Mercedes than it is on a park bench. I'll tell you that right now.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
people say money.
and anybody who says otherwise is either lying or stupid.
Well, that's the thing. They're fucking lying, because like people say money doesn't solve problems. Yeah, it fucking does.
Oh,
You
it
can make a
fucking
lot
does.
of problems. It
Case
creates
in
problems.
yeah, but not nearly the same.
It's no, but it solves a lot of immediate problems, and the problems it creates are less, not less stressful, but less urgent. The
Yeah,
problems
well,
created for money
Dave
are less urgent. There's
Dave
urgency in real life problems.
Dave Ramsey put it perfectly. He said, when you've got Well, he was speaking to an emergency fund, but he's like, when you've got an emergency fund, a catastrophic event becomes a minor inconvenience.
That's correct. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Also,
and that's
too,
true.
you know, if there's anything you don't have that you need, you can use money to motivate people to get it for you.
Exactly. So, Justin, to answer your question, yes, precisely about the job numbers. And I'll illustrate this perfectly. When I bought my house, I was still I wasn't broke, but I was still poor, like I didn't have a lot of spare income. But I made some
Hmm.
moves and now I'm very comfortable. And my washer and dryer crapped out on me in the same week. Like it
Oh
was bad.
shit.
But then and
That's expensive.
I was freaking out, right? I was freaking out, but then I realized, oh fuck, I have money now. Like I don't want to spend it,
But you
but
can and
it's
you'll be
there.
fine.
But it's there
Right.
and I got a great deal. I got a
Oh,
great deal.
that's excellent.
And here's the thing though, and this is the point that I will close with when it comes to people having money. Like broke people would not have when I was broke, I wouldn't have sprung to have it delivered. But
Hmm.
now I was like, how much is delivery? 80 fucking dollars? Fuck yeah.
Light. Buddy, I'm poor and I'll pay $80 for delivery. What
Well,
the fuck?
that's what I'm
That's
saying.
nothing.
Like I'll put it this way. I when my parents moved out of their house, they were like, "Can you help us move?" And I said, "I will pay to hire movers."
Yeah, that's
Like
excellent.
that would like oh my God. I said, Mom, do you really want to spend all day doing this shit? Or you can pay like
Right?
a hundred as far as you're moving, you'll pay like $120 for two
That's
guys
it.
in a truck and they'll
For two.
lug all your shit. Yeah, they weren't going
What?
far. Maybe more, but it
Right.
was gonna be under
Then they have
200.
under $200. That's crazy. I don't know
Well,
anyone who's gonna leave and move anything.
it wasn't in a major metro area. Yeah, so
Ah, okay, right,
yeah, it
right.
was a local move. So, but anyway.
Okay,
But
sure.
but here's the point I'm making. You know how much I tipped each one of those guys?
How much?
I spent another 80
Uh,
bucks in tips for
oh,
those
that's
guys.
well, that's good. You tip them nice.
Oh
Moving
fuck
guys
yeah,
work
dude.
very hard.
Because I've done that
Good, good,
shit.
good.
I've done that
Yes,
shit, dude.
I
Like
sell to movers and they work
Sosa, no,
fucking
he
hard.
isn't.
I can't.
Yeah, dude.
I That's hilarious. Yeah, no, I sell to tradespeople and to movers and stuff, and like generally, you don't really unless you're really lucky. Generally, stuff happens in the very beginning of the day and the very end of the day because they're busy
Pretty typically,
working.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's the case I always make. I said if I were a billionaire, I would change the goddamn world, which is probably
Mm.
why they'll never let me be a billionaire.
What
But I mean,
you need
but
to be, you need to be, you need to be what's the word? You need to be blessed by the lizard people in order to do so. Unfortunately, brother, I don't mean to cut it short, but
yep, but you
my
do.
phone is freaking out at me. My, my phone is sorry, 1 second.
Well, while you're
My
sorting
phone.
that out, I'll just say this to the lizard people. You know what's up.
You know what's up.
Why the fuck is somebody? Yeah, we'll wrap it up here. But anyway, thank you, everyone. Let us know what you think about Donald Trump's verdict in the comments, and we will keep you abreast. This has been the Average Intelligence Podcast. Don't forget to get your tickets for One Weekend at Horrorland, and we will see you next time. Now,